What's up, guys? Welcome back to Talkin Hawkins. Welcome back to Project Potter, guys. My name is Kyle, your host, guys. We're here for season 3, and guys, let me tell you, everybody in season 3, except for Dustin, pretty much got a glow up. It feels like a whole different show, guys. If you haven't been to the channel before, this is our Stranger Things review. What I do is go through my thoughts on the episode, guys, my Hawkins hero, which is a favorite character, my mouth breather, which is the least favorite character, and a score to 10, guys. So if this is your first time tuning in, of course, go check out the other episodes of the series, guys, and the other content on the channel, of course. I was really high on season 1. Not so much on season 2, but definitely did not dislike season 2. I just didn't think it didn't quite live up to season 1. Appreciate you guys stopping by, and let's get into it. Okay, guys, so some of the things I really like. The production value is through the roof. I mean, it's like watching a whole different show. You can tell that like the success of the first 2 seasons went directly into this season because it looks like the cameras look better, the colors pop more, everyone is obviously older. It's so like jarring at first to see Mike and Elle making out. Mike is just like older, and it's like I think it was only 2 years between the seasons, but because of the age the kids are at, some of them could go through huge changes. So like the voices are lower, they're all taller. It's crazy because they seem so much older. It's really, really awesome that we get to see these kids literally grow up in front of us. And so I felt like a proud parent watching this episode a lot of the time, where it's like we saw these little babies from season 1, right? And then they went through all this shit season 1 and season 2 a little bit, but season 1 and season 2, they felt like they were kind of the same in terms of like the character's age. Season 3, dude, it's like our little boys and girls have grown up. Like it's awesome. It's like the 80s. I think it says 84, but then I thought it was 84 before, which wouldn't make any sense for why the kids are older. But I just love so many things. The whole Billy thing. Billy's great. It's like they knew what they were doing last season with Billy, with the sex appeal. And then they have the scene with the pool where all these moms are over here, dude, and they're all thirsting over Billy. And I'm like, I'm thirsting over Billy too. It's like a fun, flirtatious vibe. But one thing I didn't like about this episode is that Mrs. Wheeler, remember the guys, they had that scene last season where Billy shows up and he's like, hey, and he's like, oh, I'm looking for Nancy. And he's like, oh, I didn't know Nancy had a sister. And she's like, come, Billy. And that's how he finds Max in the season finale. There's like this ongoing flirtation between Mrs. Wheeler and Billy. There's a great scene where he's like, breaststroke. He's like, if you need private lessons. And she's like, I didn't know you taught adults. And he's like, oh, clients that need more advanced work. He's like, I know a great pool by the Motel 6, really private. And then that's when Mrs. Wheeler is like, oh, like, bro, I didn't know you actually want to hook up. I was just trying to thirst over you. Like I have a family. She is like excited at the idea, like being like a cougar, but then also you can tell that she's like, this is fucked up, but I shouldn't do this, because she goes to leave at the end and she gets all dolled up, and then she's about to leave and she hears her husband snoring with her daughter. And she's just like, oh, I don't know if I should. I don't want to be a scumbag, do I? Billy's going, and Billy doesn't care, He's a single dude. He's the one that's trying to like hit on the MILFs over here. He's so into himself where he's like, looks at him, he's like, hey, Karen. And then something hits his car. He ends up crashing the car. And then he gets dragged into the warehouse to end the episode, guys. But kind of going out of order here. But yeah, the crew is so great. I mean, everyone, first of all, it's a lot of like teenage love stuff, right? Lucas and Max are together, so that's really cute. And they have like a fun little like casual dynamic. But then you have Mike and Eleven, who just won't stop making out. There's a cute scene where Hopper like leans back in his chair and he's like 3 inches, and Hopper's kind of like a helicopter parent, but he really cares about Elle, and obviously he lost his original daughter, so I can understand why that's going on. It's funny to hear him like shit talk Mike, where he's like, it's a bad influence. He's like, I'm just gonna kill Mike. He's like, I'm the chief of police, I can cover it up. He's like, heart to heart, he's like, what is that? If you think about it, he did have a daughter, but she was younger, I think, so he never really dealt with teenage love, and so I can understand why like he's going through it. You get a really sad but great scene where Joy, first of all, Winona Ryder, guys. I mean, Winona Ryder. She is just, first of all, she's looking like a snack in this one. She's always looking good, but she's like got herself together a little bit. But we do get a really sad scene where she's on the couch and there's a flashback, and we get a brief thing of Sean Astin for Bob the Brain. And they're like cutting on the couch, and they're just really cute together. And Hopper asks her out, and she's just not mentally ready, where she's like, oh, I have plans tonight. And then poor Hopper's like, oh, okay, that's okay. And it's like this awkward, like, he's disappointed, but he understands. And she realizes that like, oh, maybe there is something missing in my life. And, she thinks about Bob, but she's not quite ready to really dig in there yet. We find out Dustin's been away for a month here, and so he's like on the radio, and he's like, do you copy, do you copy? No one's answering, which is a theme in this episode. All the crew going over to set up like this big like hand radio or whatever, and Dustin's like, oh, come on, let's go this way. And then Mike and Elle are like, oh, we have curfew, and they're like, it's 4 p.m. And then they're like, they've been doing this all summer, they're just gonna go and make out for like all these hours. And this is the scene behind me actually, and they're like, oh, so lame. They know, it's like it's teenage love, but they're that couple that like they just keep kissing like nonstop. And Joyce has a funny line actually when she's saying Hopper, she's like, they're just kissing, right? And he's like, yeah, but it's constant. And we get the Starcourt Mall, which is awesome. All the colors are awesome. We get Lucas's sister, which is hilarious still. It's just a lot more of the same, but just so much better, where it's like everything that we love and just higher quality. This was the funniest episode of Stranger Things for sure. They were definitely had a different vibe here, but still that creepy horror, like the lights all go out and we see the shadow going around and a whole bunch of rats. I didn't mention, guys, it was literally the opening scene. The Russians are trying to, for some reason, Elle just closed the gate. Russians are like, we must open the gate. We must open the gate and bring out the demons, the mind flayer. They have this huge machine, which is like really cool looking, but it just like shoots this beam and it takes a whole bunch of energy and the lights are flickering. And they're like just barely cutting and like opening the gate there. But then the machine like malfunctions and then it explodes and it kills everyone around him. It's like in this horrifying, like shocks them and they're just like mush now. And the guy says like, you have 1 year, and then like chokes out the dude and leaves. So we do flash forward a year, and the Russians, we think, are perfecting it. And so they're really, really trying to open this gate. We don't know why. And I'm like, why would you open the gate? But remember, guys, it's the 80s. There was like, the Cold War and things going on. And I think it's cool because Murray Bauman last season was like, oh, he thought Elle was Russian. And I'm like, why are the Russians involved in this? But remember, like US and Russia, that was like a big point there. And so these Russians are trying to get into the gate and open the upside down. And we'll kind of see where that takes us. But yeah, before I forget, guys, and we move on, obviously we check in with Jonathan and Nancy too. They're super cute. They're like an official couple now. Nancy's all dolled up. She's, bringing coffee to the people and they're like talking about stuff and she tries to contribute, but it's almost like a Mad Men vibe where they're like, oh, a woman with an idea. Ha ha ha. Can you solve the case of the missing condiment? She's like, oh, they don't respect me as a person. And Jonathan's also working there. So I think it's the Washington Post they're working for, but it's very much like they don't respect Nancy. She's just a secretary. A big drop off, obviously, of like saving the world and the upside down and all that stuff. But we check in with them too, so I didn't want to leave them out. But yeah, just a great cast. Okay, guys, my Hawkins hero for this one, it's Winona Ryder, dude, as Joyce Byers. I mean, everyone was really great, and like if I could choose the whole cast and crew, and technically I could because it's my show, I was just like, damn, dude, Winona Ryder just has never had a bad episode. She's never even wavered. She's been great from season 1, episode 1. And I mentioned this, I think, in my season 2 finale, guys, but I'm just so impressed at like her acting ability and just how true to the character she is, where it's like, I haven't seen Winona Ryder in many things personally. I know she's a big actress, but she will always be Joyce Byers to me now. I'm super impressed with her ability, and she doesn't want to put her blame or hurt on anyone else. She kind of bottles everything up, which is why she tells Hopper like, I have plans, and then she goes home, but then she realizes she's lonely. But I love her whole scene with Hopper where she's like writing the speech and telling him like, no, this is what you got to do. And she seems like she's running the department store, same department store I think that she borrowed money from when she was getting the phone back in season 1. So that's neat. And we get to see a little more of Hawkins too. But yeah, I think Joyce is just great. Well, Winona Ryder, man, I can't say enough good things. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's funny. She's been so stressed in this series, and I feel like she's a little more relaxed here, but she's still got some inner demons that she's going through, and obviously the loss of Bob. So, and Hopper wants to kind of respect that, but I just thought Joyce was the best one in this one. Okay, guys, on the flip side of that, my mouth breather, which is my least favorite character, I think it was Chief Hopper, and he's not going to get this award very much, guys. I think I may have given it to him once in season 1 or season 2, but I felt like the problem with this episode and the tonal shift that they do, it's really, really great, and it works wonders for the most part. This was funny. It was energetic. It's much brighter. It's like visually a much brighter opening, although I guess Billy gets dragged into the warehouse at the end, so that might change, but everything was just great. But Hopper feels like a caricature of himself here. He is so like over the top concerned about Mike and Eleven, and it's cute that he's worried about his daughter dating because he's a first-time dad at that age. Sorry, not first-time dad. First-time dad with teenage love. For a guy who was like, let's do it. Let's go in there. Let's go close the gate. Let's do this. Like a guy that was so certain about stuff. I understand that fatherhood is different than like, shooting demi-dogs with a rifle, but I just felt like he was like kind of way too dramatic. It was almost like the fame of David Harbour since the show started. Like he kind of felt out of character to me, where he was just way over the top and brings Mike in the car and he's like, nothing is wrong with your Nana. And he's like, maybe you can keep seeing my daughter. And it's like, okay, but you also think Hopper would be cool, like the cool dad. And I understand that he's protective of Elle, but he also like had life and death adventures with Mike. So it's not like Mike is some random dude from school. Like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of weird. And his like hatred for Mike seemed kind of like out of place. The season 2 finale, guys, he held Mike. He knows how much Mike cares about Elle. And it's like, it was a funny scene, but he gets like petty when Mike is like sharing secrets. He's like, oh, you know what? Get Nana called. Mike's like, did she fall down again? Does she have cancer? It's a funny scene, but I just thought Hopper was uncharacteristically, I think, the weakest one in this episode. Okay, guys, that brings us to the score. Guys, this is a real good episode. Like, I had a blast watching this from start to finish. It was just such a fun time. Everything looked great, like the dark sky where Dustin went up there. Just the outfit choices. They go to the movie theater, and it's like in the beginning, and it's like everything that you remember as a kid growing up, hanging out with your friends, you know, bagging on each other a little bit, like, but just the color choices too. It's like so 80s and everything seems so great. And the music and Mike and Eleven making out, everything is just awesome. And it's like these kids finally have somewhat of a normal life and they're just being kids finally. It's not going to last very long, but like they've been through so much. And I was a little disappointed to see Will, like, once again, grabbing his neck. And I'm like, dude, this kid for 3 seasons has been tormented. Can we just have Will be a normal kid now? I understand he went to the Upside Down. He had the shadow demon inside of him, but that's gone now. Can we just have Will be one of the kids, please? I'm so tired of him being like, oh, my neck, I feel the rats going by. It's like, can you just no, that's done, dude. We exorcised the demons, okay? We got the shadow monster out of you. Overall, guys, though, this is an excellent episode. This is a 9/8. I really, really love this episode. I love Billy. I thought it was a really weird move, and I'm glad they kind of played with it, but I thought it got like creepier and creepier the more that like Mrs. Wheeler was like getting ready to possibly go have sex with Billy in a hotel. Billy, I understand his side of it, but it's like a fun flirting scene at the door last season was cool, and then like the pool scene, him walking by, also neat. But for him to actually be like, do you want to go have sex in Motel 6 hotel room, like kind of turns him down, where she's like, oh yeah, I don't think I need lessons. And like, she kind of comes to her senses and she's like, I'm not going to hook up with you because I'm not going to cheat on my husband with the kid that's much younger. And then he's like, it's the work out of your life. And she's like, oh, in that case, I don't know. She obviously is like feeling some attraction there, but I think she understands that like she's a married woman. And that story beat just didn't really work for me. It felt like too much of a stretch. And I just felt like they had like a little fun element from the last season that they played into a little too much in this one. Other than that, guys, and then obviously Hopper being kind of out of character, I think, in this one. But other than that, guys, I thought it was just excellent and really, really fun. And it's like watching a different show. It's so much better just across the board. And I just love seeing the kids grow up. It's great. Again, I feel like a parent, and I don't have any kids, but I don't know. It's like, it was like a proud parent moment for me. What do you want me to say, guys? All right, guys. Well, thanks for checking out Talkin' Hawkins. Once again, our Stranger Things in review. I've been your host, Kyle. Thanks for checking out the channel, guys. Go check out the other episodes of this series and other content on the channel, of course, guys. And until next time, guys, peace.